Good afternoon, and welcome to today's webinar, Guide to Voice Search and Digital Assistance in 2019. I'm really excited to be your host today. My name is Amanda, and Steve is also here to help us out with any of your questions throughout the webinar. In case you're not as familiar with Surefire and who we are, we're located in Northern Virginia, and our all-in-one marketing platform helps home contractor businesses drive visibility through all channels on the web so they can continue to grow their business with ease. Our mission here is to educate businesses on a variety of topics to help you succeed and help the industry grow. We want to know who you are too, so let us know where you're joining us from today. You can do that by using the chat box on the right-hand side of your screen. A few quick reminders before we begin. You'll get the recording of this chat tomorrow, and like I mentioned earlier, you can ask us questions and make any comments in the chat box on the right-hand side of your screen. And because you're on the webinar with us right now, one attendee will have a chance to win a Google Home Hub that we'll be giving away at the end of today's talk. Stay tuned after the presentation when I will be announcing the winner. So today we have Dwayne Forrester, the VP of Industry Insights for Yext, with us to talk to you all about voice search. Dwayne is a passionate search engine expert, so we're really excited to have him here to discuss digital assistance with you all. He put together a really great presentation. So with that, I will pass it on over to Dwayne.
Thank you very much, Amanda. I appreciate that. And everyone, welcome to the webinar today. And thank you very much for your time today. I am hoping that we can get through this in a relatively short amount of time, possibly give you guys just a little bit of time back later today, or as we wrap up, I guess. I am going to be going through a lot of information here on voice search, digital assistance. The reality in 2019 is it's never been a hotter space. If you were thinking that voice was a fad, I'm going to show you how it is definitely not a fad, that it is a key factor today and tomorrow. We'll also dig in a little bit on the how to optimize for this and how to be successful with it. So I'll get us started here, gang. The reality today that we see is a shifting landscape. You know, consumers have moved from browsing to asking everywhere. And if you think about this in your own life, you know, you will have used your digital assistant on your phone. You will have used possibly an Alexa speaker or a Google Home device. There's all kinds of opportunities here for consumers to be asking for information. And if we think about this at a human level, people are lazy inherently. We would like to do more. We want greater efficiencies. So speaking, we can do that 4 times faster on average than we can type. If you think about the adoption rates of the voice speakers that are on the market today, there's a huge adoption rate in senior citizens and older demographics. And that's simply because it's easier to ask a question out loud than it is for someone to type on a small screen and see what's on that screen. So we have this world where we kind of have to focus on a lot of different things as a business today, whether it's search, messaging and apps themselves, voice assistants, and your actual website. All of these areas can be places where someone would possibly be able to come and ask questions directly. In some cases, there'll be typed questions. In other cases, you'll be able to talk directly to the device you're on and the space that you're in. It's very, very powerful. And the customer journey ultimately always starts with a question and it leads to an answer. That's what the consumer is in it for. They don't wake up in the morning pondering the question, hoping to find another question and then another question. Every consumer wakes up in the morning thinking about a problem, looking for the solution. They have a question, they want the answer, full stop. And if you're not answers ready, if you are not capable of providing the answer directly to that consumer when they're asking for it, all kinds of things go wrong. And this could happen because there's missing info on your website, it's outdated information on a third-party website, competitors are saying things that are incorrect, you may upload the wrong information, whether it's the menu item, a product, wrong hours of information, reviews may be low, which will hamper your business. All kinds of things can go wrong that you have to manage properly. And if you do manage it properly, you become answers ready. This is a very powerful moment for businesses today to be able to control all of this data and information about their products and services. So marketing strategies as a result have evolved. Originally we had this focus on demographic marketing. We were looking for age and gender and race, location, income, and that gave you an idea of who to target for your product or service. And more recently, we were into psychographic marketing. So now we're starting to layer on top of all the demographics, purchase history, an idea of what a person's personality is like, their interests, their hobbies, and then being able to create cohorts from that and saying, well, if this person generally resembles this type of entity and you generally resemble this, we can advertise and market to you in a similar manner and get good results from this. Now today, we have to layer on top of that again, behavioral marketing, real-time behavior, keyword usage and understanding intent, monitoring what are measurable actions from an intent moment, and trying to predict someone's needs. That's where we're at today. And at this behavioral end, that's where the search engines ultimately live. The goal of the search engine is to understand a consumer's intent so that we can then give them the correct answer. That is the main focus for a search engine. So this new idea of intent marketing moves us from keywords to questions. So people don't just type in now, gas station, cardiologist, insurance, cheeseburger. They ask the question out loud. Who sells the best car insurance? Who's the best cardiologist for children? Where's the nearest gas station? Where's the best cheeseburger in Detroit? And you'll notice something very important about this. There's a lot more information that's captured when we ask our question out loud versus just typing in random keywords. For 20 years, the search engines have taught consumers, give us a couple of words and we'll give you a good answer back. Now that we have voice systems that are capable of high degrees of accuracy, we can ask our questions as we would if we were speaking in person. As humans are trained from the earliest age to communicate, we are now applying that same methodology of communication with our devices. And in order to understand where we're going with this, we have to ask ourselves, what is intent? Well, intent breaks down to four main areas. I want to know, I want to go, I want to do, or I want to buy. Those are the four concepts that are kind of in this notion of intent that at least the search engines are trying to better understand. Who's the best cardiologist for children? In this example, we very clearly are differentiating for children. Financial advisors that speak Russian. This is very clearly a need. The client may be fluent in Russian, less fluent in another language, has a higher degree of comfort with someone in their native language. Obviously, you can see how these things come back into this idea of I want to know something, I want to go somewhere, I want to do something, or I want to buy a product or service. And that is the core of intent as we look at it today. And no real surprise here that questions convert better than just plain old keywords. I mean, this is long tail, and if you've had any time at all in the world of search marketing, you understand this concept that long tail is where the conversions are. So when somebody in this example types in law firm, they're looking for broad information, they're researching, they may not be ready to convert, but they're looking on this topic. So we'll have a lot of traffic on there, but not necessarily a lot of conversions. If you're paying for paid advertisement, this could be very expensive on a cost per click basis, while really not developing any new business for you. In fact, natural language phrases convert at about 2.5 times the rate of single keywords. And again, any history in search will tell you this. We're talking about long tail queries here. How do I hire a law firm in Utah? The person asking that question is much farther down the conversion funnel than a person simply looking for law firm in a broad context. So lots of opportunity to mine the long tail in there. And if you are delivering verified answers everywhere consumers search, they get a much better experience with and about you, which means their brand understanding is deeper, their sense of loyalty is better, their level of trust is increased. In an example that we're looking at here, someone is asking, what are the best outdoor Bluetooth speakers? Well, there's reviews to be read. The search engines are going to bring back lots of information. There's videos to be consumed, blogs to be read. And then throughout that process, the person learns, well, what kind of bass and treble is best for outdoor speakers, because the environment is very different than indoors. Well, then you're back to the website for the search engines. You're looking at expert websites. You're digging deep into product pages at this point, and you're reviewing a lot of FAQs to better understand that. Now you can see the consumers moving through the funnel here and becoming a much more educated speaker as they go down this process. And then they bump into who carries Bose Bluetooth speakers. That's the next query, because they've learned that Bose specializes in outdoor Bluetooth speakers. Well, now when they're looking at the Bose data, they've identified a brand. They may be talking with a virtual assistant. They're on the brand's website or a distributor's website. In this example, it's completely realistic that they would find out Bose is a retailer. A Bose retailer is Best Buy. And now they're asking, where is the nearest Best Buy that's open now? Because this consumer wants to go and pick it up in the store. They want to touch it before they make the final purchase. So this is a completely normal path to purchase for consumers today. And there's lots of opportunities in here for a business to position themselves. The reviews, SEO for search engine optimization, doing expert videos, having your own blog on the topics, being an expert reviewed website, having deep product pages and FAQs aligned to this concept. And this won't be a one-off concept. There will be lots of people looking for best outdoor Bluetooth speakers. So this is an opportunity for any business to step forward and claim that listing, to be the resource anytime someone goes looking for that type of product. So you have to be thinking of this idea of answers ready. You have to be predicting the questions consumers will ask related to your products or services. If you can do that, now you can start building out what the answers look like and then building content to reflect those scenarios. It's very powerful. There's 3 real steps to becoming answers ready here. Number 1, you have to build your knowledge graph. Just like the search engines use a knowledge graph about everything on the internet to understand relationships and entities, you need to do the same thing for your business. Products, services, hours of operation, physical location, ownership of the company, management in your company, philanthropy, community support of the business. All of these pieces have to be called out in your knowledge graph so you can piece together the story you want the search engines consumers to hear about your business. You have to answer the questions yourself. You have to add this information to your website, capture consumer intent. So a great way to do that, use a chat system so that you can have an ongoing conversation 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with consumers. Take the data that's captured inside that chat system and use it as a basis for questions and building answers and the content for those answers. And you have to maintain these answers everywhere, whether it's on an Amazon device, a Google device, on a Facebook page, on Instagram, anywhere that consumers are likely to find you, you have to go there and manage that information. Because if you don't, you leave an opportunity for a consumer to or a competitor to come in and take that answer by providing more information than you did, or consumers lose confidence in you because, I have looked all over for you and I don't see you on Yelp and I don't see reviews anywhere for you. So I don't know if I can trust you. You need to fill in all the blanks everywhere, answer the questions. Very, very powerful opportunity. If we look at kind of a breakdown, you can ask yourself, can your data and your website and your experience answer questions like this? Best financial advisor near me, open now, who covers family trusts. A lot of information to unpack in here. There's a primary category, financial advisor, best, clearly looking, and there's a filter out for mobile queries. If you ask for best, you will get 4 stars or higher as the rating. So if your business is only at 3.9 stars, you're not included in the ratings. The consumer never sees you. Near me is giving us geographically based data and information, hours of operation for open now, and in this case, family trust, an additional attribute identifying the actual financial product that a consumer is looking for. And the anatomy of this question as it sits here is very similar to how consumers ask questions in everyday life. So there's a lot of information that you can pull from this. And if they're asking these questions through a digital assistant, or better yet, an AI-powered chatbot system, that chatbot system is capable of taking that data and giving it right back to you. So firmly and clearly what the question was, and you can start breaking it out and saying, best, they're looking for this, will get filtered for 4 stars. Financial advisor, okay, that's my category. Obviously, the person wants it to be close to them. They're looking for it to be open right now. High level of intent. They are going to take an action. Family trusts. Oh, you know what? We don't cover family trusts. Maybe we need to add that to our portfolio of services. And now you have an idea of how to move forward using questions like this as a template for the content. As I mentioned, the search engines are using knowledge graphs to answer questions. So you need to do this as well. If you can organize all of your information and data clearly as a knowledge graph for your business, it's much clearer when you hand that outside your own control. So whether you publish new information on your website, you're maintaining your YouTube channel, it's on your Facebook page, it's on Instagram, it's in Alexa, it's in Google Assistant, all of these areas, they all tell the same story because the data is coming from a single source of truth that you are controlling. That has a powerful impact because if you're not built to answer questions, this is what can happen to you. Consumer comes in, they find you, they hit your website, they don't find what they're looking for, they bounce immediately. They usually go back to the source, which is back to the search engine. I used to work for Bing. I used to run the Webmaster Tools program. And one of the things that I know from my time at the search engine is that there is a concept called dwell time. And that is the amount of time somebody spends engaged with your website after they click on a search result before they bounce back to the search results page. Obviously, the shorter that amount of time, the worse it is, because it means they've consumed very little content on your website. But if they land on your website, clearly understand they will get the answers they're looking for, they will not bounce back. What happens when they do bounce back is they go back to that list of results that the search engine was providing them, which might be a Yelp page, it might be a third-party review, it might be a Facebook page, it could be any number of things where they get the answer to their question. Some of those might be you, some of them may not be you, but that then becomes a missed opportunity for you. So building to be answers ready allows you to avoid that. Now, in the very real world, this is what this looks like on a search engine results page. Calories in a steak, egg, and cheese sandwich. We usually get links in, that's what we used to get is links in our search results. Today, we just get the answer straight up. Here it is. There's 450 calories. No need to go anywhere else. The reason this answer comes up is because Subway, the provider of this actual product, is providing that information directly to the search engine and saying, if somebody asks a question about calories in this sandwich, the answer is this. There it is. Very clear, very precise. The consumer gets what they're looking for. This is what consumers are starting to expect today. Answers, not links. So, as I was saying earlier, right? Chat is huge. This is a big opportunity. Gartner is saying that chatbots are going to be 25% of customer service support within the next year and a half. Organizations have integrated with chatbots have reported an average of 70% fewer call and or email requires through Forrester. And that's not because the consumer is dropping off. It's because they're getting their answers from the actual chatbot system. These are powerful things for information gathering for any business, whether you're a small business, mid-size, or large. These are opportunities that you can use to get truly inside the mind of your consumer. They've come to you, they've opened the chatbot, they've asked their question. Use that information to build the next generation of your content. So what has to happen in today's world and moving forward is that you have to optimize for all of the experiences that consumers would be experiencing. So best pizza restaurant near me, whether that's a web result, a chat result, or a voice result, you have to manage these things. And of course, if this is a voice result and we're talking about local, we're talking about 1, maybe 2 stated answers. And we also have to factor in distance, relevance, and prominence. These are important aspects to ranking well in local search. So it's a very important process to go through is testing yourself in all of these areas. I recommend that you do this on your laptop. You check yourself out on your mobile device to see what that looks like. If you do not have an Amazon Alexa and a Google Home, go buy them. They're very, very inexpensive. Have these things at your shop and test, see what the answers are like. This is growing in importance more and more. Microsoft did a survey earlier this year where they talked a lot about the state of search, and just year-on-year growth of adoption is huge. The prediction is that by the end of 2019, early 2020, 75% of homes in the United States will have a smart speaker. That's massive market penetration, and those consumers will just continue to ask more and more questions as they get familiar with the technology. Now, along the way, you have to manage reviews and reputation, and I'm calling this out specifically because it's so important, it's so powerful. There is a 4-star filter in place, and if you ask for something with best, greatest, any of these kinds of adjectives attached to it, the system automatically defaults to 4-star and higher results. If there are not enough 4 stars, it will dip down lower, but more and more queries have 4-star and higher results, and therefore, if you're not 4 stars, you don't show up. So very, very important. 95% of buyers read reviews online today before making a purchase. And not having reviews, that's as bad as having poor reviews, because that doesn't give the consumer the information that they want. They want to feel good about their purchase, and they want to feel good about it before they make their purchase. So very, very important that, that we go through this. So what does matter to Google and Bing and the search engines? Well, expertise, authority, and trust. Those are the 3 big things. It's an acronym known as EAT, EAT. And this is something that Google has stated, and I know from my time at Bing, these are areas that are very important focus. Expertise. Do you demonstrate an expertise for a topic? Well, you have to if you want to be considered an expert on this. You cannot simply step forward and tell the world you are an expert. That doesn't count, because are you seen as an authority on the topic? Do other sources say you are a key source? That backs up the expertise. And trust, we're right back to reviews here. Stars, the number of stars, the sentiment can be extracted from written comments, links, history, responsiveness, etc. That is very important to understand, because what that means is that citations will actually help your ranking. So if a local web business or a local news source talks about your business, and that is a positive reference, then you know what? That could actually have an influence on your business and its online rankings. It's not going to change anything overnight, but it does contribute a positive signal that helps. So these are very important things. And if we look at this deeper, what it takes to rank on a map, you know what? You will see there's another layer to this, and this is the relevance, distance, and prominence. You know, relevance refers to how well a local listing matches what someone is searching for. In this example, I asked for Taco Bell near me, so obviously all the results that should come back are Taco Bell. I asked for a brand name. I do not expect to see random third-party taquerias, even though I'm located in Southern California and I'm surrounded by them. I do not expect them in this set of results because I specifically asked for a brand name. Distance, just like it sounds, how far is it from me? Now, a lot of our phones today are defaulting to being on and sharing our location. The search engines understand that. The apps that we have from the search engines look at that position data to help give us better and more accurate search results, especially in maps when we look for them. So getting very accurate results is relatively easy today. Distance can be figured out. And prominence, this refers to how well known a business is. Some places are more prominent in the offline world, and search generally tries to reflect that ranking. So down the street from me is a very popular Mexican restaurant. They are very prominent in this community. They've been around for 55 years. They do excellent food. The service is fantastic, and it's a great location. So that is why they are so popular. In the real world, they are prominent, and that reflects in search results. If I redid this search result and said Mexican restaurant near me, they would be the #1 answer. And that might actually be in spite of having only a 4.1 star rating when a competitor a little farther away has a 4.2 star rating. So there's a lot that balances within these search results to actually get us to what we see. Now we're going to shift gears a little bit here, and we're going to take a look at the components for a successful voice optimization strategy. Now, as I go through this, there's going to be a lot of information in here, but I'll do my best to make sure we kind of cover this clearly. So a successful strategy for voice optimization, you have to understand your customer deeply. You have to prepare content very specifically. You have to be prepared technically. We'll take a look at developing actions and skills and what that means. And then we'll touch on developing a persona for your business as well. So let's take a look in here. First and foremost, what does it actually mean when you optimize your brand for voice search? Well, it can help you rank higher in a search result. It will improve your customer experience, and it will improve brand engagement and recognition. These are pretty powerful things. Along the way, of course, you may very well be the spoken answer on all of these smart speakers that are floating around out there and growing. So preparing your content. You got to focus on taking a long tail conversational phrase approach when you produce your content. You want to keep the actual answers short, and the content should read like a conversation. And that's, if you look at how you communicate with people in your life every day, that's generally how we communicate. Someone will ask a question, you'll answer the question. If they want more information, they'll prompt you in some manner. They'll ask you another question. They'll look at you confused. They'll roll their hand in the air asking for more. And then you'll dig in and you'll give them a more detailed answer. You have to think about that when you're preparing your content. So the way you do that is you write out your question, then you prepare a short answer, and then you prepare a longer, more in-depth, authoritative answer that backs that up. So if you want to see the next generation of how Alexa is developing, ask your Amazon device, let's chat. When you say the phrase that's on the screen right now, and I'm not going to say it because my own speaker will turn on and then she will not shut up and I will have a hard time keeping her out of our conversation. But if you actually say this phrase to your device, you will enter an area within Alexa where there is the ability to have an actual conversation. They have a competition each year, and universities are invited to participate to make a conversation with a smart speaker better, to improve that experience. And the goal 2 years ago was the first year. The goal was to be able to have a 20-minute conversation with the smart speaker. I stopped at around 30 minutes because it's clear that she will not stop. She will just continue the conversation until you end it. That's a very powerful thing, and it gives you some insight into the next generation of how these smart speakers are evolving, so you can then understand what consumers are going to experience when they are asking their device for information. So the content needs to be useful and thoughtful. So build out answers to common and uncommon questions. Think of the consumer as they try to solve a problem, and then look for opportunities to be more useful. And if you can identify areas where you can be more useful or thoughtful than your competitors, you then appear to be the better answer, not just to the consumer, as well. So a great example is being a true. A lot of product, the number is accurate, but they don't know whether that product is true to size. Are those shoes true to size, or do they fit a little bit tight or a little bit loose based on that size number? Being able to answer that question is hugely powerful for the consumer. The consumer then has a great deal of confidence that the shoes they are about to buy will be comfortable, will require minimum break-in, and therefore they feel good about spending their money on a product that they don't get to try on right now. So this is a hugely powerful step for you to be able to take, and it's relatively simple. It just takes being thoughtful about this. Take any scenario that is the real world application for your product or service and ask yourself all of the questions that you've heard a consumer ask, that you've seen a consumer ask, or that you yourself have thought of, and use that as your basis to kind of start building this stuff out. Preparing technically. Well, first and foremost, you got to have structured data deployed on your website. If you don't know what structured data is, I will suggest a couple of things. One, talk to the organizers at Surefire. They'll be able to help you understand exactly what structured data is. On your own, if you want to, you can take a look at a website called schema.org. It's schema.org. That website is a partnership between Google and Bing. there is we'll call it a language there, and that language allows you to mark up or otherwise wrap information around pieces of content within your website. Now, consumers don't see this. The average person visiting your webpage doesn't see structured data. It lives in the background. But this is the stuff that makes all of the rich experiences in Google Maps light up, for example, like being able to tell whether a business is busy right now or will be busy later or was busy earlier. How expensive something might be at a store or a restaurant. They have a relative score for that with dollar symbols in there. Being able to show ratings and reviews. All of these things are powered by structured data in some way. And while it is a technical conversation, it is very powerful, and it is something that you definitely want to get turned on for your website. You want to embed this in the code of your web pages and make sure that it's done correctly. There's tools out there that will help you with this and whatnot, but it's very important. Structured data helps an engine trust the content that it sees, and that is powerful. So another layer to this, speed matters. Your web pages have to be fast, and they have to be fast first in a mobile environment on your phone. That's where they have to be fast. So when you're done this webinar, pick up your phone, navigate to your website, and look at it page by page. Click on every link and go through it, and take an idea of how fast those pages are loading. There are tools that are available as well. Again, Surefire can help you guys with these things. Or you can just look up a page load tool on the internet, and they'll be able to point you to either Google's tool or third-party tools, where you will tell it, here is my URL, and we'll give you a score. Obviously, faster is better. In fact, according to Google themselves, based on the data that they have collected, a 1 second delay in mobile load times can impact mobile conversions by more than 20%. Think about that in the real world and ask yourself if you've been in this situation before. You're about to put something in a shopping cart, you've put something in a shopping cart, you're trying to check out, or you want more information on a product because you're considering purchasing it. You click on the link on your phone, you're waiting for the page to load. A second passes, 2 seconds pass, 3 seconds pass, you still have not progressed. The next thing you do is you turn your phone off and you put it in your pocket and you keep walking, going wherever you were going. That conversion is now, for all intents and purposes, dead. You're not really that interested. You were trying to gain interest on it, but because the page was so slow to load, you just walked away from it. It wasn't that big a deal. So speed can definitely kill this situation for you. Be secure. You have to be secure today. This does require technical work, and it is detailed. It is very important that you understand what you're doing before you launch into this process, but it is also important to be secure. Google is looking at it, Bing is looking at it in some verticals that are known as your money or your life. So things that are attached to financial information, things that are attached to personal information, medical information, those types of websites have no choice. Secure is the only option for them. And secure simply refers to a layer of encryption so that when you navigate to a URL, it's not viewable by anybody who's actually looking at that data. Now, we're not talking about someone looking over your shoulder. We're talking about the systems, the browsers, the apps you may have on your phone, and so on. But the bottom line is, if people have a negative experience with you on mobile, they're 62% less likely to purchase with you in the future. So having a secure website is literally a thumbs up to the consumer that you're looking out for them, that you are trying to protect them, and that you're interested in protecting them. So not really an option today. Now, you also have to be, as we mentioned earlier, technical, or you have to be trustworthy and authoritative. And part of that is keeping your website up to date, managing your basic search engine optimization, making sure little things like your copyright notice isn't out of date at the bottom of your web page. And you want to make sure you connect the dots between your actual website and your official social media accounts. And you should have your official social media accounts, because that's where today's consumers are starting to look for people, look for products, and look for services. They're starting in those social media areas, either asking friends or their networks, or just asking broadly. And you want to make sure that you're engaging with consumers in a meaningful way on these social media accounts. And yeah, this is going to take time. but this is the environment for success today. This is what it takes. There are plenty of instances where big brands have put their foot in their mouth on social media, and it's been a problem for them. Plenty of instances in big brands putting their foot in their mouth, and they've actually been able to laugh their way through it along with their consumers. And there's lots of opportunity here for small businesses to become a force through social media. There is a lady, I'm on a social media website. It's relatively new called TikTok. And I've been there for about a year and a half now. There's a lady somewhere on the East Coast in the United States. She has a bakery. She was on TikTok when they launched almost 2 years ago. And all she does is put up videos and photos of the stuff that she's baking and this kind of thing. And she's got over 1 million followers now. 1 million people have tuned in to watch her bake things and show these things. And when they do this, this is huge for her business now. She now has companies offering to pay her to showcase their products and services during her short videos because she has an audience reach that is millions of people. So these social media sites have a big impact on businesses of all sides. So here we've got a quick checklist, right? And this is around optimizing your brand for search, okay? You guys can read everything there on the left-hand side. I'm going to get into personas in a moment here, but you have a good understanding of what it takes here. Now, on the right-hand side, there's quick 4 bullet points on what these voice systems are actually listening for. So Google has said out loud, this is what we are looking for. Information satisfaction. Do we believe your answer matches the question? Length. Is the length of the answer commensurate with the complexity of the question? If you ask me if it's sunny outside and I look through the window and I come back with yes, it's sunny outside, that is a perfect match. If you ask me, what is the sun composed of? And my answer is, oh, it's a big ball of hydrogen. While accurate, that understates the answer quite a bit. So the length of the answer to the complexity of the question, they're looking for that. They're looking for the formulation. Is the answer correct and is it formed correctly? So does it make sense how you're presenting the information? Is there a logical flow so that the information being shared comes as building blocks that actually help the person become educated and get the answer they seek? And elocution, is it spoken out loud as if a natural language speaker would answer this question? This is the depth to which these search engines and all of these systems are actually looking for this information. Now, we're coming on toward wrapping up this webinar today, but as we do, I want to go through personas with you guys because this is very, very important. And the idea of persona is, think of it as the personality of your business. If your business walked into the room as a person, who would they be? How would they sound? What would they talk like? What would they look like? How would they carry themselves? A persona is the aspect of someone's character that's seen by others. And typically today, we've got 3 types of personas that we generally would interact with. If you're a business, that would be consumers. If you're a consumer, that would be brands, all sizes. And there's also AI personas that we have. So this would be Google Assistant. This would be Amazon's devices, Cortana from Google, Bixby from Samsung, and so on. Each one of these systems has its own personality, and that's what the persona is. And persona is hugely powerful because it is the moment when someone asks a question, within the first half a second of hearing the answer come back, they will decide whether they like or dislike the persona, just that fast. We as humans develop this from an early age. It's part of our survival mechanism to know if the person that is responding to us is being helpful, or is this a problem? Is this a threat on some level? So persona carries a great deal of weight. Now, the steps in designing your brand persona, there's a lot of information in here, so we've shortened this up for you. First off, you have to understand your brand very deeply. And I don't mean you're looking at what you tell people you are. What I mean by this is you are actually looking at the actions your business has taken over the last decade, because that informs who your brand is according to the customer. You also have to understand a great deal who the customer is. You have to be very clear about who your customer is. And you may identify more than one customer. That makes sense as well. You have to understand the task, the customer's task, in great detail, not from your side trying to sell your product or service, but from their side trying to learn something new, understand the ecosystem that they need to learn about in order to solve the problem. And then you have to choose the medium, because if you're designing a brand persona for voice, you have to decide if it's going to be a text to speech system where you enter your script and the computer reads it off, or if you want to pay someone to be the voice of your business. Now, I can tell you right now, text to speech is much, much cheaper, much faster. It's much easier to work with. Custom voiceover, it's much easier to control exactly the persona that you have. With text to speech, it is more difficult to control because these are standardized computer systems. So you get to choose male or female, maybe an accent, and that's it. When you actually want to learn more about this, the link at the very bottom in YouTube, you want to go to that link and watch the presentation from this gentleman named Wally Brill from Google. That presentation will walk you through exactly how to design a brand persona for voice with very clear examples on why this matters so much. So we're almost at the end here, gang, and I appreciate everybody sticking around for this. We've only got a couple of slides left here. Now, the next steps for voice assistants, well, AI is going to get to know your digital self, and eventually it's going to know what not to expose you to as a consumer, the way you want the information conveyed to you, whether you want to read something or you want to actually have videos. All of these things are going to become very important for these systems to manage. And you also they will understand how you want information explained. Do you want it quickly? Do you want it slowly? All of these things, AI actually gets to know your preferences with this. So this is what we get to see. And the end result of this is seamless interactions. It doesn't matter the device or the manufacturer, your assistant's going to end up working with all of these. So you may have a conversation with your smart speaker in your kitchen in the morning, walk out to your automobile, continue that conversation, and then at work you will continue it. And on your way home, it will remind you that you have a shopping list, and it will direct you to the nearest grocery store where you can pick up things on the way home. This is the future for our voice assistants. They are going to become very important in our lives. So I hope you guys have learned lots from this. It's really an exciting space. I'm excited to be in here. Amanda, I think that you've been watching. I'm just curious if we have any questions from anyone. We may have a couple of minutes here.
Yeah, I will get right into that in one moment. But before that, I want to offer everyone the opportunity to get on a call with Surefire and get a complimentary analysis of your online presence and marketing. This is a great opportunity for you to see how partnering with a digital marketing company can make a huge improvement in your marketing efforts. We just launched the poll, so please take a minute to let us know if you're interested. And if you say yes, we'll be in touch after the event. So while that's running, Dwayne, we do have one question for you.
Excellent.
So far, it's from Dale, who asks, what's your recommendation for something I can do right away for my business to get on voice search?
So there's a couple of things to do here, Dale. One of these is going to be, I'm going to say this, I understand this is extraordinarily self-serving what I am about to say, so I want you to take this with that understanding, obviously. The answers that are spoken out loud for local businesses right now in the Amazon ecosystem are actually powered through an interface with my company, Yext. So if you are in the Yext database as a client, then you're in that spoken answer set for Amazon. This is not an exclusive relationship. Other companies can come in and provide data to Amazon just like we are, but we are that provider currently. Now, beyond that, because that one's a step where you literally have to step in and sign up for something and pay money and all of that. So I'm going to roll this back a layer, and you need to make sure that you have structured data deployed on your website. So go to the Schema website, make sure you're using everything, make sure every page is marked up with everything that is relevant. Do not try to spam with structured data. If you do, the search engines will at best ignore you, which is most likely what will happen. Worst case scenario, they'll take an action, which may actually push you down in the rankings. And obviously you don't want that. So the structured data, the very next thing you're going to do, because I know that now that you've got structured data done, you're ready for the content side of things. The very next thing you're going to do is you're going to list out every single product and service, everything about your business, from the year it was founded to the physical location, to any past addresses, old phone numbers, email addresses that you have for different services, everything that you can think of about your business. You're going to create a list on that. And then you're going to ask everyone in your business to start asking questions. And you don't want them to ask them to you. You don't really care about that. You just want them to write them down in reference to everything in that master list. Because once you have all of those questions, now you can build all of the answers. And that becomes a repository that you can then publish on your website that becomes the greatest FAQ you have ever had for your business. And that content is then marked up with structured data, and that becomes the basis for the answers in the search engines and in voice search. So there's some very concrete steps you can take immediately. And if you're going to tell me, Dale, oh, I've got all that done, don't make me come to your website and point out the areas you still can dig into, because there's always more there. I guarantee it.
Awesome. Thanks, Dwayne. We do have another question that came through. I'm not sure I'm asking this correctly, but Gregory is asking, are all small businesses in the market for voice search, or is it cost prohibitive for very small?
No. In my opinion, every business is in the market for this, Gregory. There are costs associated, obviously. If you choose to hire a company to do work on your behalf, it's going to cost you money. Pretty much everything you need to do can be done on your own if you're willing to put time into it. Now, let's be honest, that time does cost. So, you can't get away from this. There's no quick and easy, unfortunately. But you can do things that are very much in your own wheelhouse. So, for example, you can have a website that's built on WordPress. From there, you can use plugins to help manage your structured data and apply that to content. The content side is entirely up to you. There's no limits on that. And you can do that evenings, weekends, during the day. You can figure out a list of questions. You can identify all of the assets that are attributable to your business. And I don't mean just, when I say the word asset here, I don't mean just an object. We're not talking about the inventory that you have. That is an asset, obviously, but we're also talking about the intellectual property, the history, all of the community support that you have done, your general views on supporting your community. All of these things become an asset because consumers want to know where the heart of a business is today. They take that into consideration when they make a purchase decision, especially at the local level. They want to know when they walk in that door that they already feel aligned with the business, with the owners of the business, with the people operating the business. They want that feeling. There is nothing worse than walking into a business and thinking, I want to spend my money here, and looking around and getting signals that put you off, things that don't resonate with you personally, that make you conflicted about whether you should spend your money here or somewhere else. You never want to have that scenario for your consumer. So putting all of your information out there helps the consumer understand and helps them get aligned prior to that. So this to me is not a cost prohibitive scenario. Voice largely comes down to being what is known as the featured snippet, the position 0, the answer box at the top of the page. Remember we did that slide, we showed you the 450 calories in the sandwich. That generally, if you can be that, you can be spoken out loud. And the way that you become that is having the right question, having the right answer, having structured data, and having a well-optimized website. Good reviews help, so you can have a direct effect on reviews if you're a small business. Train your staff, make sure they give good service. You yourself need to step up your game. However good your service is, challenge yourself to be better at it. All of those things can influence whether you get spoken out aloud or not. So to me, no barrier to entry here on cost. You can manage this.
Awesome. So we got a third question in. This is from Robert, and he's asking, why would current websites not have structured data already?
Yeah, I'm with you, Robert. So I was part of the team that launched structured data when I was at Bing, and the projected growth that we had for it was that most of the internet would have structured data deployed within 3 years or so. And here we are at year 7, and we're just starting to see it ramp up now. So the reality is, I don't know why people are waiting and why they're slow. I can share this with you. It is technical work, and when you tell someone they have to go into the code of their web page and do some programming work, a lot of people fear this. They want to avoid it, or it could be a hard cost to them because they're not going to do that work. They're going to pay someone to do that work. And if it looks like it's going to be 10 hours of work to do that and they're paying them $100 an hour, that could be a significant cost for a small business, and that's a barrier to it. So there are ways, there are things obviously that could be a block around this. For me, I won't do anything on the web without structured data because I understand the upside to it. And if that means I have to learn, then I learn. If it means I have to grow, I grow. If it means using WordPress and a plugin that helps me manage it, then I will do that because it is that important in my opinion.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Dwayne. That concludes our questions. And now we're going to head into today's lucky recipient of a Google Home Hub, and that is Ryan Aaron. Congrats, Ryan. Please
Awesome.
email marketing@surefirelocal.com with your full mailing address, and we will ship that right out to you. So thank you, Dwayne, and thank you to all of you for taking the time out of your day to join us. We hope you learned something new, and we look forward to seeing you online on our future webinars. Please take a moment to fill out the survey at the end and let us know how we did today and what topics you would like to hear about in the future. We love checking out the topics you suggest when we plan our webinar schedule. Thanks, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.